wat lê nou vir u voor? Baie van u is nou afgestudeer, van u gaan nog aanstudeer, baie van u gaan in die administrasie in. Nou is duidelik dat ons land 'n baie groot probleem het en ons nie 'n goeie toekoms het indien ons nie werkloosheid en armoede daadwerklik kan aanspreek nie. En in die vakgebiede wat u bestudeer het, gaan u baie nou daar betrokke wees. En ons het sterk ekonomiese groei nodig. Hoe gaan ons dit egter bereik? For the foreign students, I was saying we're not going to have a proper country without eradicating the unemployment and without addressing the poverty. And for that we need economic growth. One of my great frustrations, and for the people who do accounting here, they'll understand it, and in economics, is that people do not understand the law of compounding. And they make mistakes when they borrow because they don't understand compound interest, and they do not understand it. I think it's the most powerful source. If your economy grows at 9% a year, like China has slowed down to, you double in 8 years. So your people become twice as wealthy. If you're growing it at an anemic 2 or 3%, 2% will take you 36 years. At 3% with a rule of 72s, you can work out 24 years. Now you carry on with that, and then you can see why in 1978, the average American was earning 20 times as much as the average Chinese, mainland Chinese inhabitants. Today it's 5 to 1, because China has grown faster. So we've got to get our economic growth up. Now, if we look, about 120, 130 years ago, in the 1870s, it didn't really matter where you lived in the world. The per capita income in most major cities happened to be the same. That will astonish you, but it's the truth. Whether you lived in Cape Town or Buenos Aires or New York or London or Kinshasa or Sydney, it was roughly the same. But then we all know what's happened since. We've gone into, whether you call it politically incorrect or whatever, developing, underdeveloped, but we all know that there's a vast disparity. Now, some societies prospered, some treaded water, and some actually went backwards. Now, why the major differences? Forget the old ethnicity and racist thing that it's ethnic. It's not. I happened to go to East Germany just after the fall of the wall, and I was shocked. The average North Korean is 7 centimeters shorter than the average South Korean. It's about 6 to 7 centimeters. That's in 50 to 60 years nutrition. The fact is, ladies and gentlemen, that some societies chose to govern themselves by certain rules and other societies chose differently. And if you look at it, in terms of economic policies, the countries that succeeded had open market systems which included unlimited and free transferability of property. It had ownership incentives for capital formation. It had strong convertible currencies, and it really helped entrepreneurship. It had socio-political policies such as democracy. It had free speech and a free press, which is very topical today. Now, I'm going to say this in Afrikaans. Dit beteken egter nie that hacking, it doesn't mean that the hacking that went on in the United Kingdom is defensible. In fact, there's some of my friends who are key witnesses against some of Mr. Murdoch's newspapers. That's an invasion of privacy. En hier in Suid-Afrika beteken dit ook nie dat die Sondagkoerante totaal verwronge, gemeene platvoerse berigte kan plaas in die sogenaamde vrye spraak. Ek is baie na aan die Engelbrechts en aan Skalkburger en ek kan u verseker dat wat jy gelees het is totale snek. Dis nie vrye smaak nie. Dis nie onsmaaklik en dit is nie die vrye pers nie. Maar ten spyte daarvan sal ek nog steeds die reg tot 'n vrye pers ondersteun. Ons kan nie daarsonder saamlewe nie. Ons het die Anton Mostert leerstoel. Die ou nasionale party regime het gedink hulle stel 'n vriendelike regter aan by Anton Mostert. Ongelukkig was hy eerlik. Dit het tot die val van 'n regering gelei. If we don't have a free press, we will suffer. Now, it also, apart from democracy, free press and free speech, it had honesty and transparency in government actions. Now, we have a number of you that have graduated. The successful countries had honesty and transparency in government actions. Then finally, critically, it had rule of law, or it still has rule of law. That's what I like about the United Kingdom. You can get people to go to the House of Lords. And people invest in places that have rule of law. They run away from places where there is no rule of law. And we have to defend the rule of law. I've given you those various success factors, and you must judge for yourselves whether you think things are improving or whether you think that things are deteriorating. And I expect you to be curious, your graduates. Be curious, have a look, and judge for yourself. Nou, ons moet by die wenlande leer. Nou kom ons prioritiseer en leer by Renese. Nou, een van die grootste probleme in Suid-Afrika is opvoeding. I cannot create employment for people that are structurally unemployable, given the wage requirements as required by the labour laws. So we either have to, I would suggest we have to do two things. We've got to have some kind of a standstill, like they have now with the Textile Workers Union, whilst at the same time fixing our educational system. And the university is already doing a lot with the telematics. The problem is that good teachers don't go to bad areas. Nou, ek gaan persoonlik van mevrou Rampella is 'n ou vriendin, en ek gaan vir Murphy persoonlik help in die Oos-Kaap en in die Vrystaat. En ek gaan die rektor, hy is nou nie hier nie, maar ek van beloof ons sal help in die telematics. We need radical solutions, truly radical solutions, because it's a crisis. And you can say, well, goodbye to Juju. Forget it, he's not gone. He's merely embodying the problems of our country. If you drive like I do through the Karoo and the Free State and the Eastern Cape, and you see hundreds and hundreds of people who should either be at school or at work, sitting on pavements, then you'll realize we have a problem. And we have to prioritize. And it's up to you that have graduated here to also make a difference.